Hello everybody, welcome to our little live tutorial about the new functionality in ChessBase 14. I apologize for the delay. We had some small problems with YouTube here and the upload technology, which is now solved. And my name is Matthias Wüllenweber. I'm head of development at ChessBase, and with me in the studio is our director of video content, Pascal, and together we are going to show you some of the nice new stuff in ChessBase 14. ChessBase as a software exists in the Windows version for quite some time now, and a program which is long in the market. When you thinking about a new version, a new update, and about what to change in the program, you're always torn between two aims. One is that you want to keep your existing user base happy. People are used to certain ways of handling the programs. They are used to find functions in the same way. And on the other side, you want to do fresh new things which you think are necessary to move the program forward in terms of usability. And with ChessBase 14, we tried to find a middle way. We did some radical changes in the functionality, which I'm going to show you. But the general concept of the program, the graphical user interface, has remained unchanged. Some changes in ChessBase 14, some new functions are right in your main work environment. And the work environment of ChessBase is the board window. And I would like to show you how we now present, first of all, deeply annotated games. There are some cool changes in that. And to demonstrate this, I would like to load a densely annotated game from one of my cloud databases here. This is quite useful for me because I prepared this stuff at home. And now I'm on the studio computer in our ChessBase studio where we produce all our video content. And I don't have to install anything. I just log into the cloud with my ChessBase account. And I load a game from the cloud database here, which I took from the mega database. And I just searched in the mega database for very, very densely annotated games. And if you look at this game in the notation of this game, you can see there are many variations. Let's scroll down a bit. For example, here in move 15 of white, I just click somewhere, and you will notice that the variations in the notation appear color marked, like you would use a text marker to highlight certain sentences or word in a document. You now see that there are variations highlighted actually in the same colors like common text markers would have, highlighted to denote the structure of the variations. So what do we see here? You see that the current variation, all moves of the current variations where we are in are highlighted in a soft yellow, like a yellow text marker. And the alternative moves of the same level, the variation nodes, so to speak, are marked in the same color so that you can note right away what are the alternatives, for example, in move 15 for white. So let's just for clarity click on another position in the game. And again, you see the current variation is highlighted in yellow, so you see clearly the path through the notations leading up to the position which we are in now, and all deviating moves are marked in the same color. For example, here you can see this nicely. This is really a very densely annotated game. You have 3 alternatives to the continuation, 29 night before, and you notice they're all in green. Quite a good improvement if you maintain, for example, a densely annotated repertoire in ChessBase. This is not the only thing which we have changed in the notation of ChessBase 14. For example, we recommend using the toolbar below the notation at the bottom here to annotate, because with one click you can find the main annotation functions here. And one thing is new, for example, quite radical, just to show you, you can, with the little eraser, you can erase all annotations in the game. But this is something we didn't want to do. So we just find the undo function here and undo our last operation. And let me just add that undo and redo is very, very radical in ChessBase. Every little operation you can do, setting an exclamation mark, whatever you want to do, you just can undo it, and so you never have to worry about losing information. So we looked at this, and another new thing, this is quite more interesting than I expected it to become when we first discussed developing this. You know, every annotated game in chess, when you read it in a magazine or in a book, has diagrams to denote the most important, interesting positions, the turning point of games. And I always thought, we don't need diagrams in the notation. I mean, we have this huge board there, and a user can click somewhere. Why do we need a diagram in the notation? But this was wrong. And I realized this right away when I saw the first version of my colleague Matthias Feist, who implemented these diagrams in the notation. Actually, Matthias has written the whole code for the notation from the beginning, including the new color variations and also the diagrams. And there's nothing as spectacular a device to annotate a chess game as a diagram. So to insert a diagram at any position, let's, for example, take this position before the strong move of black. You click here, and you see there we will have a diagram. And to remove it, you just click again. Very simple. A nice and attractive way to annotate games. Okay, this is not the only thing I wanted to show you about the notation. Let's just do one thing more here. And if you click on the board on any piece, we will come to this later, the assisted analysis. But if you launch assisted analysis by clicking any piece of the side to move, you will right away find a position evaluation for the current board position down in the material display area. We thought, why waste this nice area below the notation if material is balanced? It's just empty. So why waste it? Why not write something there? And we thought, just writing the positional evaluation would be nice. So whenever I click somewhere, you can see that activating assisted analysis by clicking on a piece on the board will show the position evaluation here. There's one other thing which we display in this area below the notation, and this is the opening. Click on an opening move, and right away you will get the natural language classification of the current variation. All right, folks, this was what I wanted to show you about the new notation in ChessBase 14. And together with my colleague Pascal, I will now have a look at the chat and to see whether we have some questions here. The way this is going to work today is I will show you parts of the new functionality, and whenever we finish with one area, we look into the chat in YouTube and just pull up your questions and answer them as far as they relate to the subject we just discussed. And at the end of this video tutorial, we will just do a general Q&A and just talk about anything you might have in mind or want to ask us here without any relation to a certain program functionality. Now let's have a look into the YouTube chat. Pascal, do we have anything here?
On the YouTube chat, at the moment, we don't have anything but there was a question on our site regarding the tactical analysis. I think
yes.
you haven't yet mentioned it.
Yeah, we will come to this. Yes, this is another subject, of course, because this is an interesting new feature, and we'll come to this later, and then we'll discuss this. Okay, so then let's just move on to another new function of ChessBase 14. Probably you are certainly aware that we have that we maintain a very rich news site about chess on chessbase.com in 3 languages. And if you work like me, you look at this every day. You replay games, you store games, you cherish the deep, interesting annotated games you can find there. And the normal way to work with this material, this incredible rich material which chessbase.com provides for you, the normal way before ChessBase 14 would have to be you download it, you have PGN files, you import games into databases, and it works, but it is a bit of the hassle. And let me now show how big a shortcut ChessBase 14 is when you work with games from chessbase.com. So let's just open our website here. And first of all, please note that I'm logged in with my ChessBase account in our news page. This is very important. ChessBase 14 supports functionality of the so-called ChessBase account much further than anything before. And one of the things you can do with your ChessBase account is you can log into our news pages and then use a special functionality connected to your ChessBase account. Let's, for example, call up here some article about a tournament where we can sure to be find games. For example, this interesting article about the Israeli Championship in Tiberias. And so I have this nice tournament report. And some way down here, I get the games of this tournament in our web page replayer. And whenever I click on a game here, or just one single click in the notation is sufficient, then this game will be automatically available in ChessBase 14. And I'm now logged into my cloud databases with ChessBase 14. And there's one special database which is called Recent Games, the Cloud Clip Databases, which is something like a Scratch database where every recent work is collected. You can see this little clock here, and I click on this. I go to the bottom of that database, and I can see that the final games here are the games I just clicked on in the web page. So they are now available in ChessBase for further processing without me having to do any downloading or copying or maintaining of PGN databases. I think that's quite handy, and I personally use this a lot, especially with the interesting, deeply new annotated games on our news pages.
No questions at the moment.
Yeah,
regarding this.
Pascal. Well, I'm sitting here with Pascal Simon. As mentioned in the beginning, he's responsible for all video content we produce in ChessBase, which is quite a lot. It's all the live programs broadcasted on videos.chessbase.com, on playchess.com, and all the content we produce for training materials, all the Fritz trainer. And Pascal is responsible for all this content, for production, for studio management and everything. And I'm honored to have him sitting beside me, and he's assisting me because I'm too thick to do this Hangout technology. And
the honor is quite on my side, I have to say. And I think it's quite nice to show people what ChessBase 14 has to offer, because it has such a variety. And the good thing about this broadcast is it's archived, so all our readers can view it afterwards. And I think there are some questions coming in at the moment. So we have, for locally stored database, have there been any performance improvements in the database engine?
Oh yes, nice that you mentioned that. There's something. People used to say, well, in the mega database, you cannot replace games. Why? Why was this so bloody slow? The way our database is organized is one long sequential structure for the moves and the annotations. Of course, it's indexed in dozens of ways to get fast access. But the file itself, it has this physical structure that the first game is at the first position in the file and the last game is in the last position. To long story short, it means if you replace an early game, a lot of stuff has to be moved on the disk, which is slow. But we improved this a lot. So in the mega database, or in general in huge databases, replacing or annotating games early in the database is now just a snap of your fingers. It has improved a lot.
And there's another thing, but it's regarding the tactical analysis. So we should get back to that question.
Yes,
later.
John Hartman, interesting question. But we come to tactical analysis, one of the main features in a few minutes. Thank you.
But maybe I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I like this cloud clip function very much. Is it possible to share this also with other ChessBase account users? So, for example, one of my pupils I train in chess, or is this a database you can't share with somebody?
No, any cloud database can be shared, and this is something which we are proud of, because with one click on the database, you can publish this database in the web for everybody. You can share it with the whole world. Of course, you can share it with your pupils in private. And your pupils or people you want to share this with, maybe club mates whom you want to show games of your league or so, they even don't have to have a ChessBase. They only need a ChessBase account and our web app called mygames.chessbase.com, which give you access to any cloud database somebody might want to share with you. And what I'd like to show here is how easy it is to publish a database like that on the web. You just set one checkbox here, and then you say open website, and then it takes a bit, and then you see that this is also new in ChessBase 14. With one click, your shared database will appear on the web in this beautiful new replay code, which we use for all our annotated games and game publication on the news sites. So these are games I have collected in my Cloud Clip database, and you see the final games are the games which are loaded from the Israeli Championship just a few minutes ago. All right, so then let's move on to the next subject of our video tutorial. I'd like to talk about the one feature I think is the most striking and most radical new thing in ChessBase 14. We call it assisted analysis. And I think it changes the way you analyze chess interactively with a computer. A little story to introduce this. In the beginning of the 90s, my colleague Matthias Wüllenweber, he called me, and I think it was a time where we just started to have email. I'm not even sure if we had email at this stage. I mean, that old are we, I'm sorry. And he said, well, I have an interesting idea. You see, we just programmed this Fritz playing program. What do you think about coupling in ChessBase an engine in a board window in the way that whenever you do a move on the board to analyze, the engine will automatically update and display evaluations and best moves for the current board position. I thought that sounds cool. Nice idea, Matthias. Let's try it. And with this, the principle was born a long time ago, which has ever been used since to analyze chess on computers. But now with our modern machines, which are so very fast that you can do many, many more things with engines in the background, we thought, can't we do something radical new, a new approach which is much different from what we are used to do since all these years. And so assisted analysis was born. And I'd like to show you a bit of the assisted analysis features by loading, well, let's load one of the playoff games of the recent World Championship between Karjakin and Carlsen. And well, let's go to the final position where Carlsen won the crucial his crucial first win in the playoff. And let's say in this position it's your move, and you want to analyze this with black, and you think, well, why not bring my rook into play? This sounds natural, and you click on the rook, and the second you click on the rook, note what happens on the board. You see we have no engine running here, no engine window, and just by clicking on a piece on the board, I get an information about what any move with this piece is worth. And this color coding works as follows. The bright green on A2 means bright green means this is the best move in the position. And the other colors denote the distance in evaluation of moves to the target square with respect to the best possible move in the position. For example, we have yellow moves. The yellow move means move is okay, it's tactically sound, but there's something better. Then we have orange moves, which means the move can be played, but really you should look for something cooler here. Or we have bright red moves, which means, well, this is just tactically unsound. It will just drop material right away. So clicking on your rook, it will show you what's the best move. It's clear it's rook a2, which happened in the game. So now you analyze for white. Now white is under some pressure, and now how can you defend against black's threat here? And Karjakin played his rook, and when we click on the rook and we see the actual move played by Karjakin in this position, I think, of course, in a rapid game, and he didn't have much time to calculate this. You see his move, rook c7, is bright red in assisted analysis, so it's tactically a losing move. And how does this lose? How can we find this out without consulting an engine, even without releasing our mouse on the board? We execute the move to c7 with the rook, but we do not release our mouse button. And while we held the left button pressed, we just click on right, and you see a marker on the rook on a2 to a1. This means right-clicking, you see, right-clicking shows the refutation to any move you execute in this way. For example, if I move this rook to d1 and right-click, then knight g2 is a surprising refutation. You would expect maybe that the knight takes on d1, but no, knight g2 is much stronger, of course, attacking the queen, and can't take it because of mate. So I still have my rook grabbed, and the move which Karjakin should have played here was, of course, rook b1, maybe with chances to save the game. But he took on c7, and again we click on a1, and assisted analysis shows us the killing move which Karjakin played, and which put him on the winning road to stay world champion, rook a1.
Could you maybe go one move back, because there's something very nice about this feature.
Yeah.
For example, if, well, you wouldn't come to the idea that rook a1 is the best move, and you thought maybe I should move my knight or my queen in this position.
Yeah.
Then it would show that there's no green color. For example, if you click on it, you see there's only red. So in this moment, you would know there's another piece I should move, which I also find quite neat.
Indeed, yeah. And let me show you one. This is nice because this points me to another a very hidden feature, so-called an Easter egg in ChessBase. You know, some programs have Easter eggs which are hidden functionality. And here's some very subtle thing. You look at this position, and you either could click at all pieces and go, oh, king moves bad, pawn moves bad, and finally you end up clicking on your rook and see, this is the winning move, and everything else is not good. But there's some little hint. You take your mouse wheel, you touch your mouse wheel and drag this a bit and look at the rook on a2, and then while I move my mouse wheel, I get a hint which piece would be able to do the strongest move in this position. And this also shows us a concept behind assisted analysis, which we had in mind. We also see this as a training feature, which brings you to think more about the position, more about your own ideas about the position, your own move candidates, rather than looking at a running engine variation like you would look at the snake, which hypnotizes you. You never think on your own if you always look at this engine, which spells everything out for you. But assisted analysis is always an incentive to think about the position, which makes you stronger and which gets you to win more games, which in the end is what we all like to do. One little thing further, one final thing about assisted analysis, because we love it so much and it's so cool, is let's load the next game by hitting F11. This function F11, many of you will know it. Hitting F11 will load the next game in a database. And since we are in the database of the World Championship, it will load the final game of the playoff. And let's get to this brilliant finish of this game and the brilliant finish of the match. And I read on our news site that never in the history of World Championships has a match been ended with such a mating combination. So it was a quite historical moment. And if you now look at this before the position before Queen H6, and we touch our queen to see what assisted analysis has to tell out about this position, we see some interesting colors. First of all, of course, Queen H6. The mating move is a very dark, solid green, which denotes that this moves mates. But all the other target squares of our queen are colored in such a dark Bordeaux red. And this red means the move gets yourself mated. And this is interesting because for all pieces which you could move, for example, all those pieces mean that you get mated. So assisted analysis very nicely shows the sharpness of this final position, and that Carlsen had to see this move quite some time before this position, because everything else would just kill him. So nicely calculated and well done.
I think for the assisted analysis, we don't have any question yet. I guess people have to process the information at the moment. But we have different questions, for example, regarding ChessBase and Fritz. But I also think that we might discuss that at the end.
Yeah, we will have time to do all the questions which are not immediately related to the subject we are talking about.
One thing which we have been talking about are the cloud databases.
Yeah.
And as what the word cloud means, it's in the internet and on servers run by ChessBase. There's a question, how are the cloud databases stored on ChessBase's server? Are they encrypted?
No, cloud databases are not encrypted. And indeed, this is we get this question a lot, also by strong players. There are two ways in ChessBase where you, of course, you put information, valuable information, possibly on servers of a German hardware server provider, and neither the information for the engine cloud nor for the cloud databases is encrypted. You have to be aware that this is that especially for the engine cloud, that this is information. If you use the engine cloud to analyze, that the other side, the provider, for example, of an engine in the engine cloud, can see what you are analyzing, and it's your decision now to see. Well, I wanted to use the convenience of this, And I think if you really have mission-critical material in the World Championship, you might think, well, this is probably not something I would analyze on a cloud. Nevertheless, we discussed this with many players who asked us these questions, and we are aware that a couple of super grandmasters nevertheless use cloud functionality just because it is a very convenient shortcut.
Yeah, that's. I think all the other questions will be.
We come to this. Yeah,
answered later.
Okay, so let's now get to a subject which we also think is important in ChessBase 14. This is the so-called tactical analysis. By the way, there's an interesting article on chessbase.com about tactical analysis, which explains this in quite some detail. You can find this by just searching for the search term tactical analysis on chessbase.com. And I will not go into detail of tactical analysis, though I'm personally extremely proud of this function, and because I wrote the analysis code myself, and I can just open a game here, which I have in a test database of mine here. Unfortunately, it has been annotated on a German version of ChessBase, so the annotations are in German, but you get a general gist of what happens here. You see diagrams in the notation, you get text, verbal annotations, you get exclamation marks, and you see this is a very nice way to, especially for games which contain some tactics or mistakes, to get a quick and automatic way to analyze such a game. And of course, you can call up this function in the board window. Let me just show you this. Analysis, tactical analysis will analyze this game. But the real power of this function comes into play when you analyze whole databases with tactical analysis. And this is very easy to do. You just mark games. For example, here, I hold the Shift key and I click on this game down here to mark all the games down here. Or I could hit Control-A to mark the whole database. And then I right-click and call up tactical analysis. And then I need some time, a night or so, or maybe even more, depending on how much search time allocate for the analysis. And this will take now many hours, but in the end, you have a database with where you can generate training questions for all the tactics in the games, and where you have a nice new fresh approach to look at those games. So you could, for example, then if you have this database analyzed, you click on the games in the quick list, and you right away see on the right-hand side here the results of tactical analysis. For example, these games of the recent World Championship here in my cloud have all been analyzed with tactical analysis, and you saw this before. Of course, the analysis feature gives queen h6, a diagram, an exclamation mark. And I read a question, I think in the chat, where somebody asked, what is the difference between coarse, fine, and medium in this setting here? Well, this is a threshold. When should a blunder, a tactical mistake in the game, be annotated with an improving variation? We recommend for strong games, we recommend the setting fine. This will be something like, I think, 0.4 pawns of the blunder. So if you make a move which is worse than 0.4 with respect to the best move in the position, this will get annotated, and there will be an improvement in the annotation. But say you have pupils, beginners, and they drop pieces, and still you want to give them some feedback on the games, and you want to do this at automatic, then you would choose the coarse setting, which I think is one pawn or even higher, and only the big blunders would then be annotated with variations.
There's one question about it from François Chevalier. Is tactical analyzing replacing Fritz?
We have automatic analysis in Fritz since many years, but from our viewpoint, the tactical analysis is clearly by far the most advanced and sophisticated automated game analysis feature at the moment, existing at the moment, and it's much more advanced than we have in the Fritz game analysis.
Okay, and there's one question from John Hartman, which is interesting. It seems that there's a growing convergence between ChessBase and Fritz. Many database handling functions are now available on Fritz, and now ChessBase has tactical analysis. So how separate will the two products remain? What are their futures? I mean, it's a long, not, we can't foresee it now, but
yeah, the same. We have the same. We put ourselves, posed ourselves the same question, and I initially opposed. It's quite interesting. We got this suggestion. I said, well. The story of this function is quite nice because it gives you some insight how we think or work. We have a colleague of mine, Martin Fischer. He goes around in Germany and he does seminars and often with chess trainers and just power users of ChessBase, and they come to seminars and they get information about ChessBase functionality, and they also discuss their wishes with him. And at some stage he said, Matthias, well, there's one recurring requirement, some functional requirement, which I get all the time. People want full game analysis in ChessBase, blunder check. And I said, well, but we have it in Fritz. Fritz is our tool for analysis. No, they want it in ChessBase. They buy ChessBase, they want it there, and they don't understand when they buy ChessBase, they do not have analysis functionality. And okay, I said, okay, we have this code, no problem, we just implement it and everybody's happy. So I did that and put blunder check in ChessBase 14. And we had the code and we polished it up a bit and showed it to Martin in the first or second very early beta. And he said, yeah, okay, but somehow it's not so nice. Can't we do the real analysis, the real full game analysis? And I said, oh my God, we don't have time for this. We didn't plan this, but we thought about this, and suddenly we saw that this might be some real cool thing if we just wrote this from scratch new and really tried something ambitious here. And that is what led to the tactical analysis in ChessBase 14, which was not intended in our original project description for this.
Yeah. John Hartman thanked us for answering the question, and he wanted to point out that we shouldn't turn ChessBase into a web app, and it's important for power users to have control.
No worry there. No, that this is something which will coexist. Both systems have their meaning, and certainly ChessBase is our most important product and will stay so and will be developed further in this way.
And there was one question from Scorpio, and he said, I'm not sure why I need ChessBase if I already own Fritz. And well, we can say we showed a lot of features that are not yet in Fritz or won't be in Fritz. They are new functions from ChessBase 14. So everything we showed here would be a reason to have ChessBase. But as a reason, Fritz is also it's possible to work with Fritz to save your own games, to analyze your games. So it's a good starting point to get into the ChessBase world.
Yeah, and it's much cheaper. Okay, so we already are near to our closing time, and so to have some time for final general questions, I would like to show one more rather radical thing where we really changed something which people are used to since the 13.3 previous versions of ChessBase. It's the way we save games. Let's load any game here. And you see, we distinguished between replacing a game, a changed game in a database, and saving game. And saving actually meant appending a new version of the game at the end of the database. And this makes perfectly sense in our metaphor of how we work with databases, but it's not something people see in other programs. If you work with image processing, with photo programs, or with word processing documents, or spreadsheets, and so on, you always have the concept of save and save as. Save means replacing a changed version of the document you're working with, and save as means create a duplicate, a clone at another place. And so to make this easier for people which learn ChessBase freshly, we decided to break with our year-long tradition and introduce the same concept. So if you change a game and you do anything, for example, you annotate the game, you would have, in ChessBase 13, you would now say replace to save it. In ChessBase 14, you say, I save the game. And with one click, you save the game in the database. So what happened to saving the game as a duplicated? Well, this is now called save game as. And I'd like to show you this because this is quite convenient. If I call save game as, then I get a list of all recent database being used on this computer. And since this is our studio machine, you see that there are some Hedgehog databases, and some author recently recorded a DVD about Hedgehog, I think. Still, there's some nice thing. You can mark important databases by right-click, properties, pinning them to favorites. And then these databases will never leave this list. So you have a very easy shortcut to reach databases for saving, which you use quite often in your daily work. All right. So I now finished my short excursion into the functionality of ChessBase 14. There's much more to show, but we want to stay in our given time. And let's now do some general question and answering, and I will look with Pascal in what general questions you might have for us here.
There's an interesting question from Dominic Check. Well, we mentioned web apps. Will the opening training be integrated in ChessBase in the future? Not as a web app, but as a function, similar to what you have done to tactical analysis.
Oh yes, I think this is quite necessary. That is personally, I think this opening training is really it's really something new, and it's also something which personally I use a lot, because you see I have an age where my memory is not as it was when I was 18, and so I really have to learn my variations by heart. And so openings.chessbase.com is a cool approach to maintain your openings and to learn them by heart. And indeed, there is a break in our system that we do not have this functionality yet in ChessBase. However, in the live book, if I'm logged in, then let's go to the starting position. Then you will at least, I'm not logged in here properly, but normally you would get information about your repertoire in the live book at this stage. But still, I understand this is not what you mean. You want the full training functionality of openings in ChessBase, and I think we need to do this.
Another thing was there was a slight change in the look of the menus. So we adapted the new Office look. Is there an option to change it into the old look? Was one question by Dominic Check as well.
No, I'm sorry. We really changed to a new version of this library, which we use for the user interface. And I'm sorry, this library, it's just a new product, and it has moved on, and it doesn't provide this old look anymore. And personally, I understand this. I'm also used to the old look, which wasn't as flat as this, but well, this is the thing. Design changes, not everybody's happy with it, and personally I'm not so happy about these flat designs, but they are just, well, what's en vogue at the moment.
There's another interesting question on the article on ChessBase.com. How can I stop the program from automatically connecting to the internet each time I start an engine for analysis? I think he's mentioning the let's check function, right?
Yes, this is easy. For example, you see in the live book here, I have the settings, and I disable. I'm sorry, why is this? This is German. There's this. You go into settings, and the first entry here will say do not connect automatically, and by some mistake in my setup I have this still in German. I should have restarted the program. It's normally in German here on this machine, and then so unchecking this will automatically disconnect you from the let's check functionality, and you will not go you will not connect to our service.
And another question regarding tactical analysis is the evaluation of different engines. So Komodo gives 0.25 and Stockfish would be 0.4. It would be nice to set values for fine and coarse. Is this currently possible?
Interesting. Yeah. No, this is a good point. No, it is not. And in general, of course, tactical analysis is completely independent from the engine used. But I see your point. Yeah. Well, we tried to have this the settings as untechnical, as natural as possible, so we avoided thinking in engine innovations. But I see your point. I think that should possibly be done, that you can set this threshold for yourself. Thank you for the input.
One thing which is quite easy, I think, Dominic Check asked how to import his repertoire. He thinks he has to import his repertoire by hand, and there's no option to import a database. I think that's not correct. I think you can create your own repertoire and then get it into the opening feature, right?
Yeah, but still, you in the My Games on the web in My Games, you have the missing link between our cloud databases and the openings training. The mygames.chessbase.com also integrates the openings training functionality, and there you can load cloud databases and put your stuff in your repertoire. But I would not recommend doing such things automatically, because the point of what we call My Moves in the web, the openings.chessbase.com, the point is that you do not maintain a huge collection of densely annotated variations, but the point is that you maintain the repertoire which you are able to keep in your memory in a practical game, so that you can refresh your memory before a game, and can do it on your mobile phone or on the web browser. And we get this question many times, and I always ask, of course, if you're a correspondence player, it's a different thing, but what's the use of a densely annotated repertoire when you can't keep it in your head in the practical over-the-board game? So I recommend, and this is the way I work myself, is doing this consciously, importing variations consciously. And when you do this step by step, you refresh your memory, you see what you are doing, and you reflect on your openings.
There's some questions about the user key. We had a huge feature about Dvoretsky, and Shaga Shah had an interview, and there was somebody talking on the article side about it, and John Hartman mentioned it again. They want it back. What's our point on that?
So we are talking about user key and not about the theme keys. Yeah, this is in principle. So this is interesting. It's an interesting history. Whenever you kill a feature where you think this is not important, or it hasn't performed the test of time, whenever you kill a feature, you have some reasonable and valid arguments from people who use this a long time. Why did you kill this feature? And we'll have a look into it. And I think the code is there, and I think we can enable it together with the so-called theme keys, which we also thought to be redundant in the meantime. We dropped the theme keys because we thought that the new report functionality about similar structure, similar endgames, and similar maneuvers is more useful than endgame theme keys and so on. So you can get those old theme keys back with the special settings. They are not lost, but we can also think about the user key, whether to integrate this in there also, because all the functionality is still there in the code.
Yes, and because we're running out of time, I just want to say that we'll do these hangouts regularly with Matthias and also other programmers and people from ChessBase to let you know what ChessBase is capable of. And there are still many, many questions unanswered, and there have been a lot of questions about if we can implement new features. And I just say, we'll write into the chat about that. We've seen a lot on the articles, but I think it wouldn't be possible to speak about everything here. But at least we'll get all these information and things we should consider as having a new feature in an update in ChessBase or in a new ChessBase version. One last question, I think. Okay, no, this is just about thanking us about the answering. Yeah. I would say, well.
All right. So thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure showing this stuff to you. And sometimes in the near future, I'll come back to you with some Q&A with Pascal about the web apps and the way we present games in our news pages. Thank you very much, and goodbye from me.
Goodbye.